Hi there. I thought you might enjoy a little update on the performance of the set it and forget it horse racing strategy I used in October and its performance throughout November. Unfortunately, it hasn't been that great, as this little graph would indicate. As you can see, it started off very poorly. That period there represents the first 6 days or so, where you see it kind of fell off a cliff. And after 6 days or 6 losing days, I kind of lost my bottle. And I switched it back into simulation mode. The reason for that is that drop there took away a big chunk of the profit I had earned in October. So in order to protect what was left, I decided to go back into simulation mode while still monitoring the strategy to give me time to figure out if there was a reason for that sudden drop. Back in the end of October, there were signs that there was a drop beginning. This big spike that I've got in here, that simply represents the point where I switched to simulation mode. And as luck would have it, I did so just at the bottom of the trough. And since then, it's made a bit of a recovery and it's got back into profit at the end of the month. But it was a painful process getting there. So yeah, I really wanted to see if I could identify if there was any particular reason for it. I was particularly concerned if there was something wrong with the strategy that simply hadn't manifested itself in October. If you recall, October was really good. And the fact that that drop happened within the space of 5-6 days, it was fairly rapid. So there was a number of things I needed to try and figure out. For example, is it just simply a case of natural variance that you would get with any betting strategy? And it's something that you just have to grin and bear. Was it simply a case of bad luck? For example, in that week, 55% of the races I got involved in, one of the selections in the Dutch came second. A bad case of seconditis. And of course, if that hadn't been the case, this video would have a completely different tone. The important thing to recognise, or one of the important things to recognise, I think, is that these really sharp drops, down here, down here, down here indeed, they were all on all weather. And if you recall, I'm sure I made a comment either in a video or a post for the October results, that the performance in the all weather tracks were something of a hit and miss, perhaps slightly more miss than hit. In particular, it seemed to be rather erratic in that for any one given all-weather meeting, that meeting would either be really good or really bad. There was no sort of in between. So that was something I really wanted to try and identify. The other interesting thing to note, however, is that whilst on the subject of all-weather, the all-weather has sort of picked up. So that was a really good all-weather day, for example. The other thing to note, however, is that in that first week of November, the tail end of October through to a week and a half, we had some really bad weather in the UK. We were hit by storm after storm, lots of rain, lots of high wind, and in that first week, a lot of the meetings were on the all-weather. Now, that's to be expected at this time of year, of course, as well. But the meetings that were on turf, a few of them were called off simply because of the weather conditions. And it did affect the number of withdrawals as well. So was that having an effect? Certainly as the weather has improved throughout the month, there's been a noticeable improvement in the results. So looking back at the data, the results for races that were in heavy conditions, that's a total loss for the month. Similarly in the all-weather tracks, where the going was slow, those are lost as well over the whole of the month. But it's all picked up as the weather has improved. So that may be something I need to look into as well. Unfortunately, that wasn't something I recorded during October. So I need to go back into that spreadsheet and record all that information for those races to see if there was any correlation there. But I think that may be something that I need to look into. So yeah, a small profit really, what we're looking at, just over £100, which represents about 2% return on investment for this month, which is very disappointing, but it's all due to that first week, which was a nightmare. And as I say, I lost my bottle there, and if I'd held my ground, it wouldn't have been so bad come the end of the month. Lesson learned there. However, I think, given the time of the year and given the weather conditions and so on, I think I may actually leave it in simulation mode for December, just so that I get more data now that I'm actually recording the going as well, just to get a better picture of it and see if that's the case or not. So anyway, just a quick update on that. I'll get back into some other videos next week. Cheers.